Talking about. And clearly, I didn't until a little short time ago. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Welcome, everybody. My name's Stuart Brisgell. That's David Solomon. We flip sides on you just to see if you're paying attention. We're going to draw you into an unfiltered podcast spanning news, pop culture, politics, and beyond. Whether you're the discreting type of absurdity or you're the major type of absurdity type kind of person. Sit back, relax, because we're going to get in there. Buckle up, Buttercup. So let's talk about DEI. So lately, we've been hearing a tremendous amount the atrocities conducted by Hamas in Israel starting October 7th. And why is diversity, equity, and inclusion an important part of that? Because no one gives a shit about any Jew. David, I know that's not where you wanted to go, but I had to drop something in there.
No, it's fascinating because you started it right. DEI is a buzzword we've heard in universities. DEI is a buzzword we've heard in Hollywood. DEI is a buzzword you've heard in the workforce. And DEI should be FUCK, apparently, because if you are not fitting and checking certain boxes, then you can't be included. So all the lies being spun at the university level about pushing for diversity, equity, and inclusion, which means we don't care who you are, we include everybody, is really not everybody. Because DEI is only welcome to those who the university deemed oppressed. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, all the lies and all the chants that they've been saying for years had conditions. So because of that, because a Jew is considered a white supremacist, Israel is a white supremacist country, therefore, you're not included. Now, we've argued about this before that, saying that Jews are white is just flawed. We've had this conversation. Please check back issues of our ranting. But the truth of the matter is, when you look at Jews today in Israel, they're white, they're brown, they're black, and it's proudly displayed. Oh, and by the way, and you can ask this of even Arabs who live in Israel, when it comes up to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Wait a minute.
Hold on, Stuart, let me finish my point. Stuart.
Go. All right.
When it comes to DEI in Israel, that includes all forms of people, right? Whether you're a Jew, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, Druze, Bedouin, doesn't matter. Whether you're heterosexual or whether you're part of the LGBTQ community, then Israel is the most DEI'd country you're going to find in the West, let alone the Middle East. Stuart, what's your comment?
Dave, all right, I want to ask you a question. Let's talk about diversity and inclusion. And I'm going to go a little off topic, but I think you're going to follow in like this. How many Jews live in Egypt?
Oh, almost zero.
How many Jews live in the United Arab Emirates?
Can't tell you that.
How about Saudi Arabia?
Oh, if you're gonna, I know where you're heading.
No, hang on a second. How many Jews live in Iran, Iraq?
Oh, there are a handful.
Okay, hang on a second.
There are a handful.
How many women's rights activists live in Iran?
A lot of them.
Okay, how many of them are stoned to death, murdered, and mutilated in Iran?
On a regular basis.
Okay, now, how many Arabs live in Israel?
About 2 million.
How many Jews are in a cabinet position in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Iran, Iraq?
It's a very round number. 0.
Really? It's like the shape of my head, right? Round number. Okay.
Right.
How many non-Jews, Arabs are currently in the Israeli government that are Arabs?
Obviously, sir, we've gone through this before. We've said that Israeli Arabs are
whoa, David,
they're duly
Israeli
elected.
Arabs. Wait a minute. There are Israeli Arabs in this world. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is really being talked about because what happened yesterday in front of Congress, where the members and the presidents of universities like Harvard were standing up on this little pillar called the stage going, well, yes, no, we believe this. And if you replace everything they said with a black person, Indian person, Chinese person, it would be racism.
Stuart, the thing is that where the confusion is to us on the conservative side of things, if you will, is that liberals and so-called progressives were saying we want to include everyone, and apparently now everyone only includes those that they want to include. So if they don't agree with you, you are not included. So the notion that there is DEI in universities, in Hollywood, in the workforce, in the government, in the military, where they're shoving this down everybody's throat, is a lie.
Yep.
Now,
I agree.
The
Wow,
other,
David, you agree with me.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
something going on here.
The other part, which is really funny and going along the lines of what you just talked about, just a second ago about the university presidents, when you have the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania, it's wonderful to see women that they're there because they wouldn't have been there a number of years ago. And Dr. Gay, the president of Harvard, who happens to be black, wonderful, amazing. Look how far you've come in society from where you started. And yet, all three were lawyered up like no one's business in responding to all the questions that were thrown at them, because those are how they answered. There wasn't a single honest answer in there about why Jews feel uncomfortable on campus.
They don't care. No, they don't care. Listen, if you are having people during the George Floyd thing running around where black people said, I feel scared to walk on campus, we're giving everyone a personal chaperone. And, I was watching the news and a black reporter said, if you replaced what's going on with Jewry in America, and sorry, not excluding Canada, with a black person, they would say we've gone back to the 1930s and 60s of the lynchings. Right? And that's what a black person had to say. Could you understand this, David? I can't.
Well, I'll tell you, it really comes down to the one word, racist. And I know that you keep saying anti-Semitism is racism, but let's keep it simple. For the same people who yelled and screamed that we should not be racist, let me remind everybody that just 10 minutes ago, these same universities were accused of, choosing which students that they wanted based on a quota, not based on merit, based on a racist quota. And Harvard has been doing it for decades. And Harvard really continues to pretend, and like all these other universities, they just pretend because they're chasing these dollars. And they're pretending to show how progressive, how liberal, how advanced they are in their thinking. And what they really are racist universities. On one hand, saying, okay, we'll take the Jew in. On the other hand, give me a check. On the one hand, they're going to take, really, they're not here to protect the Jewish students. They don't care about Jewish students. And it was very clear. And Elise Stefanik, the congresswoman from New York, lambasted Dr. Gay from Harvard, and she gave a bloody lawyers-like answer. But it doesn't matter. To them, the narrative that they continue to push matters. Why? Stuart, why? Let's follow the money trail. Where's the money coming from? The money is coming from the enemies of the Jew and enemies of the state of Israel, i.e. the Qatars of this world and all the other sheik-like countries that continue to send billions of dollars to these schools, along with establishing chairs, along with creating a hateful environment that was promoted by these same presidents.
You know how you get 1 billion people to agree with you, David?
How?
Tell them the World Cup's going to be in Saudi Arabia and be as dry as the desert air. Okay? People don't understand and are stupid. It's like sheep. People don't want to blame. Stop, Dave. Dave, stop, Dave.
It's not
We
about
grew
not
up in Montreal. Hang on, we grew up in Montreal, where we knew lots of people that refused to buy a German car. Why did they refuse to buy a German car? Because to them it associated with neo-Nazi Germany. Because a lot of the automakers were part of the war machine. Okay, let me ask you a question, David. Do you think that's a problem today?
Stuart, Germany?
Yeah.
Germany is the biggest right now, the biggest supporter of Israel in Europe.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
But Stuart, the point, the anger is that, yes, people can evolve. There's no doubt that people can evolve. But these are people who devolved. They haven't evolved. They haven't gone forward. They've gone backwards. They've shifted, instead of it being the KKK wanting to lynch Jews, it's the universities that want to lynch Jews. It's not the neo-Nazis that are screaming, death to Israel. It's universities. It's Hollywood. You've got politicians. You've got people in the workforce. You want to talk about like all these things? This is what's happened. So to tell me you're a progressive, so now to me the word progressive really equals racist.
Regressive,
whatever, So I'm sorry to say, but to hear these university presidents yesterday, I want to throw up.
Ackerman had it best. Gave $27 million to Harvard, his alma mater, and is calling for the resignation of the president of Harvard.
Big deal.
You want to know something, David?
Aside.
Big deal. I want to know when the Hollywood studios are going to start to clamor up.
They've already started, Stuart. We know.
Wow,
you're
kidding me. Hollywood, the progressive.
Already, you've got idiots. You've got idiots already who have been out there and have made their comments and have,
like Susan Sarandon?
But it's not just Susan Sarandon. You got others. But here's the thing, Stuart. Okay, at the end of the day, these same people who call for DEI, right, have conditions. You can't be part of our group. That's what it is. We've created an exclusive group here of so-called oppressed people, and we're going to pretend to care. And if you're not part of our group, we're calling for your death. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've got a problem here. Okay?
Because no, you don't have a problem here, David. You want to know why? It's about Jews.
Well, no, the problem is that the people following them, you call them sheep, are sheep. Listen, there was a woman in Montreal standing here with a Palestinian flag. She yelled from the mountain to the sea. And we're like, which mountain? Yeah. Which mountain? Okay,
Mount Royal.
People stupid. They don't understand.
To the St. Lawrence Seaway.
They don't understand. They're just spewing because they think this is the right thing to do. They're being these sheep are being herded in for the slaughter. And the slaughters of these progressives, these so-called progressives who claim that they're here to help Palestinians are not. They're not. This is more about anti-Semitism than pro-Palestinian. Stuart, on Monday, I stood proudly with 20,000 odd people on Parliament Hill. The media couldn't even get the story right. One reported only a few hundred showed up. Yes, if you came at 4:30 when the buses went back to Toronto and when the buses went back to Montreal and there were a handful of us singing, there were a few hundred. But at its peak, there were some 20,000 people there. The media couldn't even get the story right. The media couldn't even get the messaging right. The messaging was return our hostages. There were the parents and families of hostages and people who were killed were standing on the dais.
Wait a minute, David. I thought you're Jewish and a white supremacist.
Well, apparently
you called for death to Palestinians, death to all Arabs,
Stuart,
death to everyone.
Stuart, let me wrap it up with like this. The people standing on those stages were not only Jews, but you had politicians. Sure, the leader of the opposition in Canada was there, but unlike other politicians in your country who didn't show up. But here's the crazy thing for you, Stuart. We had somebody from the Iranian community, Ukrainian community, indigenous Canadian community, LGBTQ community, stand up. They weren't Jewish. Stand up and said our support's with Israel because we understand what's going on. Unfortunately, the rest of the world doesn't really care. And the media twisted the fact that we were there supporting the war. It's sick. Okay? It is absolutely sick because not one person, not one speaker chanted, let's go crush Palestinians. Not one person in the crowd had a sign that was racist. And yet, when we walked out with our Israeli flags, who do you think were standing on the side? Just a handful of people accosting us, yelling at us. I didn't care. But when we went back to our car, which was inside of a mall, and 5 teenagers, black teenagers, started yelling and cheering, "Free Palestine," I said, yes, I agree. And they walked away. They were so stupid. They thought they were trying to taunt us. But here I am, I'm going, yes, let's talk about it. And they walked away. This is what the world has created. A bunch of sheep ready to go to slaughter. And I want to thank the media, and I'd like to thank politicians, and I'd like to thank the university presidents for creating the greatest slaughter in history, the mental slaughter of society.
David, I'm wrapping it because we went over. So for all you people who were counting the minutes, there's a lot of passion here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is the Rant Network. We don't really plan. We don't pre-record. We don't edit. So you get it unfiltered the way we want it to give to you. We trust you found some valuable insight in today's dialogue. Catch us Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. As I said last week, we broke 400 episodes. Yep, it's a lot of episodes. Engage us on social media. Share your perspectives. We genuinely value your feedback, even when you're like my cousin Rupert, a left-wing guy. But anyways, guys, I had to throw in the Rupert for a bit. Wish you all a wonderful day. Stay safe. See you. Bye. David, wrap it up.